All right, y'all. Welcome back to the Ecom Dispensary Knowledge Drop. What is this going to be? I think this should be number three. Is that right?
Think so.
Yeah, Knowledge Drop number three. Welcome back, folks. Welcome back. We're stoked to be here. Stoked to have you here. Stoked to be sharing what we know. Hopefully, that will help you out and help you make more money. All that kind of fun stuff. This first one we got here, episode number 14. It should be. Title here, obviously, you're looking at it right now. Don't try to be efficient before you're effective. Now, this came, the place that I saw this, I actually, where did I see this? I actually forget where like what made me think of this and where I found this quote. Someone's getting credit, but I forget who it is. So they're actually not getting credit. But I didn't come up with this myself, but I thought this was just like such an amazing and concise way to describe this. And it's a problem that so many people face, like especially beginners. And we want to talk about it, tell you guys what we think, and hopefully give you guys some insights that are going to help you do better things in your life. So, Scotty, what is your take on this whole thing, being efficient before you're effective?
I think your email sums it up pretty well. Being efficient off the bat, while maybe a noble goal, just isn't possible. It's just not realistic because you cannot be efficient without experience of what works and what doesn't work. Um, you just can't. You can't set out to be efficient. You have to be inefficient first, spot the inefficiencies later, and then try to sort of optimize those away. I feel like it's a bit of an iterative process. It's something that takes testing and seeing inefficiencies in order to fix them, and trying to create like a fully efficient system, trying to be super efficient, doing everything perfectly right off the bat, is going to hurt more than it helps.
I think that's probably true. So, I guess getting in at a real simple level, like taking a step back for a second, the difference between efficiency and effectivity, is that a word? I think that sounds like a word, effectivity. There's being effective, which is pretty self-explanatory, I think. You're doing something effectively, actually doing something that's getting you results of some sort. And then being efficient is also being effective, but being more effective, right? Getting a higher return on your time, spending your time doing the things that are going to produce the greatest results, and being very, very efficient with how you work. So there's this thing that a lot of people do when they're first getting started, and it prevents them from actually ever getting started. And that thing is when they're trying to figure out the best way to do something. And I think that's really the main problem, is this tendency for people to think they need to find the best way to do something before they actually start doing it. Because as a beginner, it's impossible to know what the best way is. Like if you're just getting started with something, be it online business or ecom or literally anything in life, you're not going to know what the best way to do it is because you're a beginner, right? Like I'm not going to know the best way to cook a freaking flambe. I don't even know what a freaking flambe is, but I don't know shit about flambes. And as such, I'm not going to know what the best way to cook a flambe is before I ever cook a flambe. If I cook a flambe a bunch of freaking times, then I'll probably figure out, okay, so I don't need to add eggs here. I can add the sugar later. That'll save me a little bit of time here. Blah, blah, blah. Whatever the fuck is in a flambe. I'll figure out the best way to make it and I'll be able to make it really, really fast. The thing is, the thing that people do is they don't ever make a flambe until they feel like they know the fastest and best and most efficient way to make a flambe. And if you're doing that, you're going to be waiting forever, because the only way to figure out the fastest and most efficient way to make a flambe is to make a shit ton of flambes. And in case you couldn't tell, I'm not talking about flambes here.
I think you you got a little analogy. Certainly is sort of a roundabout way of getting to it.
You like that?
Yeah, kind of. I think a simpler way to put it would be, if you're effective, it means you're getting the result you desire. And being efficient means you get the result you desire with the minimal, with the lowest amount of input of time and or money needed. And as a beginner, I would say to you, if your goal is to make 10K a month, you're starting from scratch, it doesn't really matter whether you get to 10K in the most efficient way possible. What matters is that you get there. And the pursuit of efficiency oftentimes delays starting, which makes it impossible that you get results. Maybe for a non-business related analogy of my own, me and my roommate both wanted to learn Spanish, and I did a little bit of research, found some resources online, and started learning Spanish. And I sent him the resources, and pretty much with every one of them, he had something he didn't like about the resource. It's like,
What do you
oh,
say
this
about
is
Duolingo?
wrong.
What didn't you like about freaking Duolingo?
I mean, Duolingo sucks. Um, but no, actually, good resources that I thought were really helpful that helped me a lot. I'm like, yo, I found this. It's helped me a ton. Give it a shot, and he'll have a look at it, and he'll have like something that isn't right with it. And to be honest, he's probably right. Like those things are flaws in each of those programs. However, he focused on the flaws and therefore didn't use the resource and therefore did not improve his Spanish. Whereas I didn't focus on having the optimal setup, the optimal learning resource, and instead just went through resources that are good, even if not ideal, even if not perfect. And because I was actually going through them, my Spanish improves and his doesn't.
He probably sucks at Spanish, doesn't he?
I mean, still better than you, but
What a freaking loser. Come on, how do you know he's better than me?
because the only Spanish you know is para llevar.
12 wings para llevar. That's what we used to tell the Mexicans when we were working at when I worked at a pizza delivery place. All the cooks were Mexican. And they spoke no English. So I know a lot of Spanish and as to how it relates to food carry out. But beyond that, yeah, I guess you're probably right. My Spanish is definitely not ideal. But okay, one thing I did want to mention here. This might be a little bit of a reach, maybe. Scott, I want to hear what you think about this. The reason that I think this is a problem and why people try so hard to be efficient before they're effective, I think it really breaks down to like a very primitive biological response, which is that we're all programmed to try to get the most that we can while using up the least amount of energy. And I think that goes back to when humans were like freaking animals. You were working with a very limited amount of energy because you only ate whenever, you and the boys freaking killed a buffalo or whatever the fuck they ate back then. Um, you had to conserve your energy because you might not be able to eat for a couple days. And if you use your energy in an unwise way, you could just easily end up fucking dead. And that is programmed into us, into our brains. And obviously, we live in a world now where you don't really have to worry about conserving your energy to make sure that you can run long enough to be able to catch that massive fucking buffalo. You don't need to go hunt buffalo anymore, man. None of us are hunting buffalo. If you are, like, props to you, absolute respect. But I think most of you guys listening to this are probably not hunting buffalo. And in all likelihood, you have more than enough energy to do just about anything that you could ever want to do. We're not like toiling in the fields anymore these days. If you're sitting at your computer, it doesn't really require a whole lot of energy. And I think people are like subconsciously very, very hesitant to use their energy on things that they are not 100% certain are going to produce results. And I think that's really where that comes from.
That's 100% it. It's the uncertainty. That's probably why it's like, do we deserve to make the amount of money we do in terms of the skill set or whatever we have,
No.
versus somebody who got a 4-year degree or a 6-year degree or however many years and has worked however many years in the corporate world? We probably, like, we're not that much smarter, more effective, whatever, than other people. But what we did was we worked when there was no guarantee of results. And that's what most people are not willing to do. That's what gets you the huge upside in entrepreneurship, because you are the one willing to work when there is no guarantee of anything.
That's a very good point too. Instead of hunting the buffalo, most people are just happy to sit back and wait for all the women and children to go pick all the berries, and they're just going to eat the berries. And the Bears are consistent. You know, the Bears are very consistent. You're not going to go hungry, but you're never going to be eating the buffalo. If you're just eating the berries, you're never going to be eating the buffalo. Sometimes you just got to go out and you got to take the chance. You got to go out and hunt that buffalo, and maybe you use up all your energy. Maybe the buffalo freaking kills you, but you got to take the chance. You got to take the chance.
History of Humankind with Nathan Schmidt.
Yeah, is this turning into like a weird business history lesson? I kind of like it.
The only history lesson ever to start off with you and the boys hunting buffalo.
Dude, just imagine how sick would that be? You and the boys wearing your loincloths, fucking jacked out of your mind because you barely eat and you just fucking do hard shit all day. I mean, wow, what a lifestyle. But no, back to the point. The whole thing that we're trying to get at here is that it is absolutely pointless and really, really detrimental to try to optimize what you're doing before you're actually doing anything. Because if you haven't done anything yet, if you're not putting out offers, and when I'm saying doing something, what that really refers to is just putting some sort of offer in front of someone's face and being like, yo, do you want to buy this? That's really like at the root of it. That's the action that actually matters in business. And if you're not doing that, you can't optimize it. There's no way to optimize something that you're not doing yet. So what you got to do is you got to put away that primitive urge in your head to conserve your energy and not do anything that you're not 100% certain of. And you just got to get started doing something. And over time, and I think this is the thing, like you can only learn so much by sitting on the bench. Eventually, you have to get up and you have to do something. And that's really where the real knowledge comes from. I learned a good amount from reading books and watching YouTube videos and studying and doing all that kind of stuff that I did for like 6 months before I actually took any action when I was first getting started, like way back in the day. But that probably, if I was to surmise all of my knowledge that's in my brain right now about business, probably only about 10% of it was knowledge that I learned from actually learning. The other 90% was from doing the thing and seeing what worked and what didn't. And if something didn't work, I'd be like, oh shit, well, that didn't work. So don't do it again. And I learned that, okay, maybe that's not a good thing to be doing. Something does work. Then you're like, oh shit, that does work. And I should do that more. And it's a constant iterative. It's a constant, as Scotty said, a constant iterative process. And over time, you will become more efficient. But don't get analysis paralysis because you think you need to be doing the best thing in order to get started. There is no one best thing. Just get started doing something. And over time, you'll figure out what the best way to do it is. And you can optimize it and you can get better, make more money. But you can't do that if you never get started. You have to get started at some point.
Yes, sir.
Wow, that was quite the episode. We hit on a lot of topics there. The flambés, the buffaloes. Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah.
Okay. So you got anything else to add on this one? I think that's about all we wanted to cover for this. Don't try to be efficient before you're effective. That's such a huge one, man. I love how concise that is. That just sounds so good too.
Yeah. 100%. Keep on hunting buffaloes.
Get those motherfucking buffaloes, boys. All right. Well, I'm going to take that as Scotty does not have anything else to add on this one. So we'll see y'all in the next one.